Hey everyone, my name is Chantel Vacca, and thank you for joining me for my professional goals video. Um, I will be the special education teacher at Jefferson Middle Schools next year, and I try to um, really take into consideration different types of goals whenever choosing the goals that I did. Uh, I wanted to be sure that I covered an area of strength, an area of need in the community, and then an area of growth, something that would challenge myself. So, my first goal is that I'd like to identify barriers and areas that we can improve in the educational system for the EL community here at Jefferson City Schools. Um, you know, th- this population is something that I just have a lot of experience in, not even just from a personal standpoint, being an English language learner myself, and French is my first language from Canada. And then in fifth grade, I had to learn how to speak English when my mom moved to an all English area. So I can relate to these people in many ways. I came here as a on a student visa. I just became a citizen in February, and I'm able to connect with these people groups. I know that there's a lot of intimidation on their end. I know that there's a lot of insecurities. Not to mention they can't really speak to anybody. But thankfully, I am able to communicate with them, and I have a heart to see them feel more comfortable and embrace, and really understand the resources that are out there for them. I think that when you can take down those barriers, then they will embrace, and do anything that they can. A lot of times it's just a miscommunication. And so, identifying maybe not only their needs but also what are the school's needs, what are some things that they would like to see more in that area, whether it's a raised academic scores. Well, then I believe that having that parental involvement and identifying barriers ultimately plays a role into that. One project that I'm working on that ties into this is that I've created this. I call it an EL boot camp, but it's a 1 day boot camp for third graders, 1 day for fourth graders, 1 day for fifth, and we are. I had to plan the whole thing, including transportation, field trips, the flyer, the parent phone calls because I'm the only one who speaks Spanish, the whole thing. But we're going to go visit the library as part of that boot camp. And then for the fifth graders that are moving into Jefferson Middle School, I'm going to take them on a tour of the middle school as well. So just trying to find ways that can help minimize a lot of that intimidation to make it feel more comfortable and inviting. If I can connect parents to the library, for example, the public library, help them get a membership, show them around, just helping them know that they are accepted and part of this community. And I think that ultimately that will increase in more parental involvement, which will ultimately, raise academic achievement for these students. So that is one of my goals. And second goal is an area of need. So my capstone for my master's of arts in teaching and special education was evidence-based practices for students that are English language learners with learning disabilities. And so, this kind of merging of these two, in essence, twice exceptional children, how are we serving them? How are we identifying them? Because that is a very, that is an area of need, even in my own school system. I serve as an EL tutor, and there's a few of my students that I strongly believe there seems to be indication that they have learning disabilities. So what can we do for them? And I found myself in this rabbit trail, talking from person to person, or, the EL teacher to administrator to um, just the general education teacher, and then back around again, just to figure out what are what are the supports in place, or what do we do in this situation when when the needs are not being met, and that it could be something more than just language. So if I can maybe identify um, current policies on um, like our school's current policies on what to do in those situations. And then maybe also identifying current existing research and evidence-based best practices, then I can combine those two and create a flow chart that is in alignment with state and federal policies and evidence-based practices that could serve and meet the needs of these students, that we can do it in an efficient way, an effective way, that everybody knows what to do. Okay, well, here's a student, and it will start with progress monitoring. What is their starting point? And then continue monitoring from that, collecting information, especially if you have any suspicion that there's something more going on than language. So the approach can be a little bit different. And that's what I want to identify, is some sort of process. Okay. My last goal is an area of growth, something that would push me. And this is more in advocacy for paraprofessionals. I just think that my experience has been that, I had to resign as a para in the exact type of environment where I was completing my student teaching. And while other districts or areas, you're not required to resign. So I just want to take a deeper look into policies and why is there that policy there? Is it a miscommunication? Because at some point it was almost implied that that's a university requirement, but no, it turned out that it wasn't, and then no, oh no, the university thought, oh, well, that must be the school's requirement. Well, no, and it just was a lot of like not really clear information anywhere. So I would love to see some clarification and maybe examination of this long existing policy that ideally could be eliminated in favor of peer professionals. That left me scrambling for health insurance for myself and my three children, and also zero income. Those things are not encouraging for uh, developing new teachers, bringing new teachers in. That does not promote people to just come into the field unless they're willing to make that sacrifice. And thankfully for me, I had a supportive husband, but many may not be in that situation. And so I just want to take a look at that and see if there's something that I can do for others after me, that maybe things can change for them. But thank you for your time today. And yes, thank you. And I hope you have a great day.